We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, boys and girls? How's everybody doing? Yo, it is time for the Drive-In Speaker Box. What's going on, everybody? I am your host, Bo, the Boom Operator.
And I am Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we are here. We're here in the studio. It's another Monday night. It is April 4th, 2022, getting close to tax season. Hope you guys have your taxes or whatever it is that you have to do kind of together. Don't wait till the last minute like everybody does. And write your congressman about why TurboTax is bad for our country. That's a whole nother soapbox, the Bo Rogan experience, where I tell you about why our economy is set up to fail because of companies like Intuit. Because, you realize that they
just got in a lot of trouble.
They did. And it's funny because people go, well, if the government knows why or how much we owe them, why can't they just tell us and we pay it? And they go, well, because companies like Intuit and the other tax preparing software and Hewlett, not Hewlett Packard, but Jackson Hewitt or whatever they are, they have lobbyists in Congress that say, no, it's a huge industry that employs all these people to prepare taxes. So let's leave it convoluted so that you have to hire us because we create jobs, and then we'll prepare the taxes and create jobs to make it more complicated for the American person. And now, that's why all our taxes are hard, is because lobbyists. Anyway, that's a different podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. This is the Drive-In Speaker Box. We're going to be talking about movies and the conspiracies and insanity behind those. So thanks for joining us. Find us on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You can subscribe wherever you subscribe to podcasts if you want to get the audio version of this podcast and listen to it on the go. So you can do that. Vince over there already with the shake it up emoji over on Twitch. Al Hardy saying nothing wrong with TurboTax except for when you know that it could be even easier. Let's see. Tony, howdy, Garrett, or howdy, y'all. Tony Garrett over on YouTube. Furious Apology and Logeweb already dropping subs while we were in the intro screen.
Nice.
So, yeah, good on y'all. Thanks, guys. But the first bit of news, I know we said we would talk about it this week, and Travis brings it up over on Facebook, so we'll just go ahead and dive into it. Travis on Facebook comments, the 112 Drive-In is to reopen this last season on Friday, April 2nd or April 8th, 2022, featuring Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and The Lost City. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 coming out this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But for those of you that live in Northwest Arkansas and are in our, sort of local listening radius, back when we used to be on radio, we said that a lot and it meant something. But, now, since there's people all over the country and maybe even the world listening, we have a drive-in theater here. It's, one of the last remaining 500 drive-ins in the United States. It's kind of a precious historic commodity, and our particular drive-in has now gone up for rezoning with the city of Fayetteville, and they published the plans. I'm gonna see if I can get those plans pulled up for you guys over here. My keyboard. Why isn't my keyboard working? Oh geez, guys. Well, maybe I'll mess with that in a minute. But the plans are out there, and there is a tiny little screen over in the corner that they're like, well, we're gonna still preserve an outdoor screen for your outdoor screen
for the
viewings.
residents of the student living area.
So here is the problem with that is these are proposed plans. So they say the proposed outdoor screen, which any of that stuff is, they'll put the plans out there so the community will be like, oh, okay, so they are. Hey, you know what? Don't get mad. We saved a screen for you. Yeah, we did that in the proposal. And then when everybody forgets about it, when it gets lost into the bureaucracy, red tape that is city planning and all that kind of stuff, they'll go, well, this just, we got to make some budget cuts because, that's just how things go. Hey, you know what? I think the first thing to cut is the actual drive-in. And let's go ahead and cut that. And I studied these plans. And one of the things that I noticed about these plans is that, and then this is relevant anywhere you live. If you live in a place that's being gentrified, or if there's, historic landmarks being torn down for condos, which is something that's happening in cities all over the country, look at the plans and go to City Hall. Say something. I do all the time, and I'm just a dumbass. And I stopped a parking deck from being broken ground for almost a month just because of little old me. And I got phone calls from construction companies, and they were not happy with me. And your voice can make a change. But the point I'm saying is, I looked at the plans. And most architects and designers don't understand movie theaters, right? For those of you that are listening at home, how many times have you said, man, it'd be cool, an art house theater that played old movies and independent films. I mean, it'd be great. I'd go. I'd love it. It'd be awesome. And what you forget is, Jake used to work at a movie theater. I've worked in and out of this industry forever. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes at a movie theater that you don't see, like projection, projectors and film reels and stereo, all the speakers in the control rooms and, all this technical infrastructure and huge square footage. You're talking about heating and cooling that is insane. They're humongous things to build and maintain, and architects are just like, hey, we'll put a screen outside. It's a drive-in, right? Yeah, fuck it. And that's what they want. They want an outdoor screen. We give them an outdoor screen. Whatever. And nowhere in the plans is there like a control booth for the projector that projects. It's not a big TV. It needs a projection booth. And also, if you know anything about city code, which I'm that guy, like every parking lot and every outdoor, like walkable whatever, has a certain outdoor lighting requirement, right? You have to have certain light posts every so many feet. You have to, in parking lots, it has to be well lit to, so muggy and rapey and stabby things don't happen in the dark shadows.
You won't be able to see the screen.
That's right. Light pollution is caused from external sources of light. And when you have too much development around a drive-in, you cannot see the screen. Ta-da! So clearly, they did not put any sort of consideration in these plans. And, so this drive-in's bullshit. Their plans are bullshit, and it's going to go away. And, as Vince says, tons of people say they go and they do not. Just like the art house theater, they're not going to go because it's too expensive. You'd have to go every single freaking day. And as Furious Apology says, art house cinemas are really struggling to make a profit because they're basically charities. Because the tiny percentage of people like us that would go, we're only two guys, and it takes a lot to run these theaters. And it's not just, wouldn't it be cool if you guys went every week and saw these movies that you never heard of? But the problem is you don't. And, that's one of the things we try to get people to do with this show is go out and see things that you've never heard of. Go out and take a chance on a movie that you may or may not like. You don't know. We went and saw Morbius.
That's true.
And so that's just kind of what we do. But with the drive-in, everybody, if this is happening in your town, if there's a historic theater being broken down or a drive-in getting paved over, a lot of developers and a lot of people will say, well, what's the big idea? These landowners have the, right to do whatever they want with their property. And that's true, 100%, But I do think that there is a certain preservation nature of historic landmarks, Just because you didn't get something registered as a historic landmark doesn't mean it's not culturally or historically relevant. Like getting something registered as a cultural landmark is actually a huge pain in the ass. That's why a lot of people don't do it. But when there's only 500 of something left in the country, and a thing that when the COVID happened helped kind of save movie going and entertainment for a lot of people. Just going, hey man, we need some more expensive condos and mixed use walkable development that no one's going to give a fuck about. Like, no, because it's too expensive to build it retroactively if there's a need. Kind of like Central Park in New York. Central Park in New York would never happen again. It's just something that happened way back then, and they preserved it. And sure, you guarantee you there's people that would love to develop that land, but they know that if they take it away, it's never coming back. And there's plenty of other places to develop in Fayetteville. It's not like we're out of land. We're just out of houses. And they're like, well, we got to have affordable housing, says everybody that makes money building houses, So it's a whole thing. Sam says they still have the Marshall Drive-In down there in Central Arkansas. That's true. I think there's one in the Tulsa Twin. There's a drive-in in Tulsa.
Dallas has like a big 4 or 5 screen one or something like that.
Yeah, so support your local drive-in, support your indie theater, and if you don't like this development, go say something. Rezoning is a public process. You can go say something about it, and it's if you love something, fight for it. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to make this whole show about something that you kind of only have to live in Northwest Arkansas to understand. But I promised you I wouldn't bring it up. But it's out there. You can Google. I think the Fayetteville Flyer posted the plans. You can go take a look at them. And don't just comment on Facebook and go, "I said my piece." No, you didn't. Go to City Hall with a torch or something and a pitchfork. Well, maybe not a weapon, but. You get the idea, like a poster, like a sternly worded poster.
Yeah, with some glitter and glue stick.
Yeah, just arts and crafts your way to equality and justice. That's the way to do it. So anyway, all right, news. Let's talk about it.
Well, you did the Wallace Shawn voice, so
inconceivable.
Yeah. So first thing is one of his co-stars in 4 different movies. Yeah, Estelle Harris passed away.
She did.
At 93.
Dropping like flies, these old people. It's just like, who'd have thought? Like, what's killing these old people? Inconceivable. But yeah, I didn't follow her career too much. I mean, I wasn't like a huge Estelle fan.
She did lots of voiceovers for like Disney movies and TV shows, and then Toy Story. She was Mrs. Potato Head and all that.
Oh, that's right, the Miss Potato. Yeah, T-Rex. Yeah. So
she was She was Miss Costanza in Seinfeld.
That's right. Yeah. That's the big one.
Yep.
Georgie. And then it's the shrinkage episode. Like everybody knows that one because we've all experienced it, gentlemen. Am I right? Cold water. Shrinkage. Seinfeld. What a good show.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other news. I don't know if you read about this, but there is Crow news. You're
the dude that likes that, man.
Because the original Crow's awesome.
It's not.
The original Crow is awesome. It is a great movie. It captures a period of time, an aesthetic. The director of that film also did Dark City, which is another great film. The sequels, not so good. But the first one, Brandon Lee. I mean, this is an amazing role. He was an up-and-comer taken too soon.
It's like Death Wish and Darkman put together. But Death Wish and Darkman...
Okay, you just sold it for the rest of the nation. They're like, okay, well, shit, if it's that.
I made it sound too cool.
You're like, it's these 2 really badass action movies put together, dude.
Yeah, well, shit.
Yeah, see, exactly. Well, anyway, the original film, 1994. It basically inspired a generation of goths to be goths and for wrestlers to be goths.
Crow Sting, yeah.
Yeah.
The Stinger went goth, yeah.
Everybody had crow fever back then. And and The Cure did that song Burn. God, that song was so good. If you're into The Cure, you could dream the crow-like dream. Like, it's so good. But they have been trying to get this franchise new life for years. I want to say, like, in 2016, I was reporting on a Crow sequel happening, and we've been doing the show ever since, and we've never seen a Crow sequel. But 28 years later, they are finally saying that they are getting a reboot. Hollywood Reporter mentioned it on April Fool's Day, which is never a trustworthy day, although there was a lot of cool news that did get dropped on April Fool's Day that was not fake news. But Bill Skarsgård is set to take on the Shadow Smile, I guess, is the lyrics of the song. The character Eric Draven.
That's the one that was Pennywise?
Yes, yes, the younger of the Skarsgård, and I think that said Rupert Sanders is set to direct, said to have a budget of about $50 million, which is pretty monstrous of a budget considering Morbius was 75, and that's a Marvel movie. So we're talking. This could be a terrible movie.
$50 million does not sound like a lot of money for.
But you think,
movie.
well, I mean, Crow is not a superpower heavy CGI heavy movie. He's just a guy that doesn't die.
Well, he's a dead guy that doesn't die again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because love.
Because let's get that. He dies straight up.
In
That's
the very,
whole thing.
the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And they say that filming's supposed to start in June this year. And Sam says, just bring back Ernie Hudson. Like, Ernie Hudson's still alive. He's still kicking. He's still awesome. I would love to see.
In movies.
I would love to see Ernie Hudson. They'd be an idiot not to bring Ernie Hudson back in as some sort of like, he's like a retired detective, and he's the only one that still lives in the city that knows. Because didn't the girl character from the first one in like City of Angels like grow up to work in like some like heroin den or something, and like I don't know, it was when she had like wing tattoos, and it was a very strange Hot Topic and inspired time in all of our lives. But yeah, I'm really pumped about it. The Crow soundtrack is one of, again, it was like Lost Highway and the Crow soundtrack, where like if you worked at Hastings or any CD place, like it was everywhere. It was the film soundtrack that really launched the whole sort of phenomena of albums that were music inspired by. And, it got people into listening to soundtracks, which got me into, which is the whole birth of the show, is me getting obsessed with soundtracks. So, yeah, thank the Crow for me. You're welcome, Crow. Anyway, let's see. Sam says he wants a Rocketeer Shadow team up. Says every World War II surviving granddad ever. It'd be great, Sonny, a Rocketeer and Shadow team up and get the Phantom on board. Yeah. That would be fun. Let's see. What else do we got in the comments? The Mask. Everything had a soundtrack, man. And it wasn't until like the early 2000s where soundtracks were coming out that music was not in the movie at all. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
It was like Godzilla. There was like a Godzilla music inspired by the motion picture Godzilla, so they'd slap the movie title on there.
Well, the 90s Godzilla, the Matthew Broderick one, had that song with Jimmy Page and P. Diddy.
Oh, yeah.
Awful.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I'm just going to drink this gin from the bottle.
Not awesome. It was really, really bad.
That's just how we do. That was really good.
I don't see a Crow. I don't see Crow working again. And if it is, they're going to have to change the whole thing.
Well, goth's coming back. There's the goth culture is as strong as it ever was. It's like the industrial side of it, I think, has gotten lost somewhere along the way. Where like the noodle hair, like rave dancers that were like in, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines or whatever, and they're like, oh, what house are you? And you're like, oh, I'm a house. What are all the noble houses of? You didn't play that game. I played that game.
No, that's a you thing. I'm the odd man out in the room right now. For sure.
Well,
I'm looking at my very goth fiance over here, just agreeing with all of the.
She could school you, because and it's out there. Hot Topic wouldn't still be around if there wasn't a whole bunch of goths out there spending money there.
No, but they sell like anime stuff they target.
That's goth now.
Things.
Like, it's cool. Like, goth is like inspired. Like anything that's just sad and like has a lot of black. Because goth people are pretty accepting people. They're just like, you know what, you got feels. Come on, man. Let's just cry about it together.
Or if it's Invader Zim.
Dude, Invader Zim is the coolest. Did you see like the Night of the Schlorpus or whatever, Florpus on Netflix? That was good. Invader Zim's awesome.
I never got into it.
This explains a lot. Invader Zim is so cool.
I liked like All Real Monsters and things. I liked
That's
all
not
the
goth.
Preceding.
It's not angry.
Weird oddball things.
That's weird oddball. Zim was angry. The thing that goth like Invader Zim is he hated filthy dirt humans. Like, and that's a lot of goths are just, and I'm pretty goth adjacent. Like, I'm wearing a Lost Boys T-shirt. I'm pretty sure that you gave me, and the resounding
she was very
theme.
jealous of that. She wanted the Tim Capella shirt.
The resounding thing of that is just like people are dumb, and I'm mad about it. And yeah. So, Tony over here, Bruja's getting grad degrees. Bruja, that was the angry, like almost, bordering on werewolf style, but still vampires. That was the Brujas.
Vince, I would not say that I'm goth. No.
Not at all. I mean, you are wearing an Elvira, Mistress of the Dark T-shirt, but yeah, I mean that's just because you like titties.
No. Unbelievable.
Calling them out. Sam says, I was Walmart goth with my Wranglers and Silver Series Velcro shoes. Walmart goth, I mean, you just, everybody's a little goth sometimes, okay? It's okay. It's okay. We got to get you in some mascara, bro.
She's been trying.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
I don't think it would work.
No, it works. All you gotta do is apply it, and it sticks. I don't think your eyelashes or your eyeline is impervious to makeup.
No, I think I'm in that Tom
many,
Selleck, Sam Elliott.
How many subs do we got to get on Twitch before Jake will come up in here with some mascara, full goth,
We could
with like a styled mustache and like mascara, yeah. How many subs will it take, Jake?
Well, if we did 15 for yours the other day, there you go.
15 subs, and we get Goth Jake. I am down for this challenge.
As long as it can come off before I have to go to work.
There's one. We've got one sub. All right, there we go.
What else is in the news?
You putting on makeup apparently is in the news.
This is going to be weird.
It's going to be great. It's going to be fun.
Imagine like Tom Selleck or Sam Elliott and like doing that.
They do it because they're actors. That's how the actors work.
No, I watched that movie, that like cyberpunky Tom Selleck movie with Kirstie Alley, where he's like the cop that shoots the robots. There was no makeup in that. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember that one. Blake says, all right, what are y'all most looking forward to movie, TV series to in this year? Well, one's already out, and it is not coming here anytime soon. It's coming soon. It's from A24. It's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Really want to see that. There is that train movie, which I always forget the name, the Bullet Train.
With Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
The dude that played Ugio in Last Samurai.
That one looks pretty cool. A lot of cool stuff coming down the pipe. I don't get excited. Like these TV shows, I'm not really excited about. I'm not really excited about.
Name the movie Runaway.
Runaway. Yeah, there we go.
Al and Sam, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Looking forward to that. There's, not a whole lot of TV shows I get really excited about. I mean, I just started watching Outlaws on Amazon Prime. It's a new series. Got Christopher Walken and what's his name, Stephen Merchant, and some other folks. It's a BBC series. It's pretty cute. It's pretty fun. I don't know. It's okay. It's just passable for the time.
The Northman does look cool.
The Northman does look cool.
Commented there. I want to see if Sonic 2 holds up like the first one did.
You're pumped about Sonic 2.
Did
you see that Jim Carrey wants to
I just
resign?
like that the posters and the trailers show nothing but stuff from the
video
games. And yeah, they like recreated the cover of Sonic 2 for a poster. And the trailer has a lot of video game stuff that's like, hey, if you're familiar with the Genesis games, then you'll recognize this kind of thing. And Vince says Severance is good on Apple TV Plus. One of the reasons I don't get excited about TV shows is because I don't get excited about subscription services. And, there's a lot of stuff that I'd be like, I'll watch that, but I'm not going to go out of my way to pay like $14.99 a month for something that's like, I'll just do the trial. And then I forget about it. Like I've had a Shudder account for, 3 years, and I've maybe watched a total of 4 days worth of Shudder programming. It's usually when Joe Bob Briggs does a special, but it's just like, God, I can feel them taking my money, and I hate it. And I realized what I'm actually genuinely excited about. Top Gun is finally coming out.
That's coming out very soon.
Some Maverick
It's only, what, 2.5 years? Delayed?
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Well, that's coming out. Other things. Let's go ahead and talk about that Bubble movie, since we're talking about streaming services and stuff.
And Netflix, and how I never use it except for when something like that happens.
Yeah. So The Bubble, it's trending on Netflix. It's a new film. It's got it's from Judd Apatow, who's, everybody thinks he's a comedic genius. It's got a huge ensemble cast. And it's funny because Jake came in, and right before we went rolled cameras, we were still in the lobby screen, and he's like, "Did you see that movie Bubble?" I was like, "Yeah, I tried to watch it, but I could only get through 30 minutes, and I turned it off. It was so insufferable." And he was like, "Yeah, it's the exact same.
Yeah,
it was just torture." To be watching it. It's like I could maybe I'm not the kind of guy that can have a movie running in the background while I'm doing other things, because I think that's just insulting to a movie, no matter how bad it is.
Well, if it's the first time I've seen it, you gotta
watch it.
Yeah, but even if I have a movie going in the background, a lot of the time I'll be like, "Oh, what's going on in the movie?" Even though I've seen it 100 times.
Same. And this movie was just so insufferable. I could not sit through it. It was just big oof. It was just painful. Mm-hmm. And then there's 45 more minutes left to go, and I was like, ugh, I can't do it. So sorry, guys. It was just so rough that we only got through 30 minutes.
Yeah, I tried watching it last night, and then I couldn't do it, and I tried picking it up again today, and I'm not. No.
Vince asks, what's it about? It's about a film crew being talked into coming back to doing a sequel to a crappy series of big-budget monster movies, and it's in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
So The Bubble is their little quarantine group while they're filming, and it's kind of an inside joke to working on a film set during COVID, and I've done that, and it's still not that insufferable. It's I don't know. It's
it's a movie about COVID and having to be actors during COVID, and just how they all get upset that they have to be put in quarantine from time to time or whatever, and how it drives all of them nuts because they're locked in a room for 2 weeks with contact only with one or two of the same people.
And delivery drivers and
right.
Fancy hotel rooms and anything that they asked for being delivered. And a Fishtails pinball machine, which was in the corner that I noticed. Yeah, it was terrible.
So it's them dealing with COVID and then shooting a movie at the same time, and back and forth and back and forth. And
it's one of those movies about making movies that's just not good. Right. There are movies we've gone, as Blake knows because we've talked about it. He's brought the topic up before. It is one of the movies about making movies that is just terrible.
It seems like one of those things where it's a lot of the people that are in Netflix projects and they got signed on and they have contracts where they have to do so many, and they're like,
toss them into this one.
Yeah, they're like, you're going to be in this movie. And they're like, I really hate the idea. They're like, what are you going to do?
Do you hate money?
Yeah,
and contracts? Yeah, it's a thing. Let's see. That's really about. There's a Robert Rodriguez is wanting to reboot Spy Kids for. Money reasons. Money. It's all money. They go, why would they do that? Money.
Oh, they released that scene from the Batman, the removed Joker scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a thing that's been making its rounds.
Too much Joker. I'm Jokered out. I'm so Jokered out.
Yeah, I always hate when the Joker shows up. It's like you almost made it.
We were there. I was like, oh, cool. Batman movie with Joker free. And then he's like, no, wait a minute. I'm still here.
Vince bringing up that time where I was like, oh, there's only a handful of movies about making movies. And then you named,
1,000 of them. Yeah. I don't know if I talked about this last week. I don't think I did because I think I haven't been here since then. But did I tell you I went and saw Alton Brown?
You were going to go do it. Yeah, you said something about... Yeah.
So I went and saw Alton Brown live in Tulsa. He does a stage show called Beyond the Eats. If you guys are familiar with celebrity chef Alton Brown, star of Food Network's Good Eats, Chopped, and host of Iron Chef America and all other sorts of fun culinary things. Sam got a chance, over on Facebook. He got a chance to catch it in Little Rock, I believe. He was playing there. Fantastic show. I didn't realize, and I've been a big fan of Alton Brown's for a long, long time, but I didn't know he did stage shows as far back as 2013. And this guy can put on a really good stage show. You'd think what's a scientist chef guy going to do on stage? But, if you don't know Alton Brown, he's basically the Bill Nye the Science Guy of food. And it was an incredibly fun 2 hours. It was a really good time. If you have a chance to check out this show while it's in your town, go see it. You don't have to. I mean, it helps if you have a passion for things culinary, but it's not a requirement. It helps if you're a fan of Alton Brown. It is not a requirement. He's just a really fun dude, and he jet fried like 15 pounds of chicken wings in 10 minutes. Like, he built a giant, he hates air fryers, so he built one out of like 16 industrial like heat guns, and he was like, yeah, it gets up to like 900 degrees, and he had like a captain's wheel on it, and it was pretty badass. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, highly recommend that show if you check it out, because live theater is fun. Hamilton just wrapped up here in Northwest Arkansas. For those of you that are into live theater, you missed that if you haven't seen it. Then it'll probably be back at some point because it made all of the money. Like tickets, I was gonna
say, you gotta have all of the money to go watch a stage show, though.
Man, it's crazy. Like here at our local Walton Arts Center, I was thinking, I was like, oh, my mom and my sister would really love to go see this. Maybe I'll get them a ticket as like a preemptive Mother's Day or something gift, and they were like $449 a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And like that Broadway is not even that expensive. I've been, and I'm like, whoa, Northwest Arkansas, $500 for a ticket? Because $449 is just the front price, and there's gonna be fees and whatever, and $500, $1,000 for two people to go see Hamilton. No.
Well, that's why when I went and saw Book of Mormon, the only chance I had of going to see it was getting the lottery, the giveaway tickets they had, which my friend Phil was able to achieve for us, and he and I were able to go, and but that was the only way to do that. Otherwise, no.
Yeah.
It's like a full paycheck to get a ticket to go watch
and
it.
as Vince says, in Little Rock, no, we're talking Fayetteville, Arkansas.
It was in Little Rock.
It did go in Little Rock, yeah.
They went. I met one of them.
One of the Hamiltons?
Yeah, they told me how it all worked, and they'd done Little Rock, and then went to Houston, and then came back and did Fayetteville, and then
they were all out drinking on Block Street, apparently.
South Carolina.
I think some of them came into Pinpoint and were having drinks, but there you go. Let's get into the new releases this week. That's about it for the news. We're going to review Morbius here in a moment. Oh, one last bit of news. Oh my God, I almost forgot. Oh my God. I have been Tony asked over on YouTube, how much is Kraftwerk? They're playing at the Momentary. I think tickets are between $80 and $100. So to see one of the most legendary, iconic bands in electronic music in the history of electronic music, $80 is kind of a steal. So I plan on trying to go to that as well. So Kraftwerk playing in Bentonville, Arkansas later this year. There was a huge announcement. It was a teaser on April 1st, and then there's a website and a teaser video. We're getting more Monkey Island.
Oh.
More Monkey Island, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's not movie-related news, but it is important to me. Ron Gilbert making a sequel to Monkey Island 2, so making The Curse of Monkey Island kind of somewhere not canon, but this has been some of the greatest news that has happened this month for me. I am so pumped about it. Return to Monkey Island, coming this year. Couldn't be more stoked. Ron Gilbert bringing the whole cast back. Super, super awesome. Could not be more excited about that. Yes, as Sam asks, it is a video game, one of the most influential pirate video games in the history of point-and-click adventure games. I mean, Sea of Thieves, which a lot of people play, is directly inspired from Monkey Island. Every bit of pirate humor and movies like that it's a claymation movie, Pirates or whatever that came out, that's very Monkey Island inspired. Like it just sets the bar for pirate humor. It is, and point and click adventures. Like it's so good.
Popular area there,
Pirates. I mean,
there's that HBO show out right now.
Pirates of the Caribbean. There is Monkey Island stuff in Pirates of the Caribbean. Like it is just like it is just it's so good. Cassandra's coming in with the $60 for members on the Kraftwerk. If you're a member of the Momentary, you can get cheaper tickets. Vince said, I'm with you, Bo. That trailer looks so rad. Yes, it does. It has the demonic pirate skull Murray, and it kicks him off in the water, and it's pretty good. Anyway, all right, enough of that. Enough of that. It's a movie show, not a video game show. But if they made a Monkey Island movie, I'd probably be mad about it, but I'd still go see it. Movies that are coming out this weekend. We already teased about one of them. It's playing at the drive-in as well. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 coming out from director Jeff Fowler. Idris Elba coming into this one. We got Jim Carrey reprising his role as Dr. Robotnik. And I don't know if you saw that Jim Carrey has been toying with the idea of retiring from acting.
He's just like, I kind of did everything I need to do. I don't really need to do this anymore, and it's not as fun as it used to be. Yeah, so I mean, good for Jim. Do you, man? You don't have to do it. No one's twisting your arm. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2. You know, we've talked a lot about the Sonic movies, mainly because of how interesting they are and the fact that they listened to the internet community and
got money because of it, because it worked.
They did what we said, you know, and that's kind of what we ask a lot. It's just do what we say.
Well,
do what the fans have proven they like.
There's times for it, and then there's other times where it's not such a good idea, maybe.
This is also true. But you more like Halo, for example. Here's a video game that has a rich story, a rich everything, fans that love it. Pretty much just do the story. You know, some people will watch the cut scenes and skip the gameplay because it's a good story. They're like, oh yeah, let's check this out, and then they'll cut it. How about just make a movie of it? And then you got it.
I've been seeing a lot of Halo fans trying to justify it and be like, well, I mean, it's like the best adaptation to the live action. It's like, no.
That sounds like an abusive spouse.
Right.
You know, I mean, like you make
Forward Unto Dawn was the
you
best
make
one,
excuses
pretty
for the
sick.
things that you passionately want to love. And like, you know, you're like, oh man, you know, I'm just gonna make an excuse for this. I mean, it's you just don't know it the way I do. And it's like you're addicted to pizza, and you're like, you know, you don't need that pizza, but you're like, it's just so good, it's right there.
But pizza,
You're
delicious, baby.
You're delicious, baby. And you know, even though we all know it's bad, people are still gonna make excuses of it. Oh, and Vince also brought this up. This was news. I don't think we reported on it last week because man, time flies. He said, speaking of retiring from acting, we now have a reason why Bruce Willis was doing so many crappy $1 million a day in Bulgaria movies.
Which even the Razzies were like, oh, maybe we should undo that like category we created just for him this year. So
yeah, because
he has aphasia.
Yes, so that came out, and he's retiring from acting as well due to this condition. And you know, it's sad because Bruce Willis was an icon. He, you know, not so much in rock and roll music, but definitely in movies and in Hard Rock casinos, or no, was it no Planet Hollywood casinos and restaurants? He was one of the co-founders of Planet Hollywood.
Was he?
I think so. The brain is saying yes, but I don't have any facts to back that up. Maybe one of our diligent viewers will and so yes, that was correct. But
sounds right.
It does sound right.
It's like the Expendables cast, or just the Planet Hollywood guys.
Just the Planet Hollywood guys. But it's really sad. You know, Bruce Willis, a prolific career in not just action movies, but you know, Christmas movies and no, he
Sam, without Die Hard, there would be no skyscraper.
This is true.
With a one-legged rock.
This is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it's always sad. You know, Hudson Hawk, a really awesome character that I've always loved. But Bruce Willis, everybody has a Bruce Willis movies that they like. I mean, Kevin Smith came back and kind of felt bad for talking shit on Bruce Willis in his performance of Cop Out, because he was just like, Bruce Willis is insufferable to work with, and this is why Cop Out sucked. And now he's like, well, I'm so sorry that Bruce Willis has like got a disease. I was like, dude, Cop Out was like 10 years ago. I'm sure he was just a piece of shit back then. You know, like just because you get a disease now doesn't mean you weren't a piece of shit 10 years ago when you didn't have the disease. Like, you know, it's okay. You know, you can that phrase, that statement can stay, but just don't call him a piece of shit again. Like that's the way insults and jokes work, guys. They have expiration dates. When you say someone smells in 1994, and then maybe they start taking a bath for the next 10 years, and you call them the same smelly, and it doesn't land the same, guys. You know, just because you say that someone's got a G.I. Jane haircut, and then, you know, it's just that lands right there.
Oh, that's the other thing, talking about stepping away from things. Will Smith left the Academy.
Mm-hmm.
But he still gets to keep his award.
I still think
he still gets to visit and be invited to events. It's just he's not going to win any more awards.
I'm still standing by my tinfoil hat theory that this is a Banksy move.
I don't know. Netflix dropped his projects, and
maybe he wants that.
Things. Like, he could. Yeah.
You know, maybe he's looking for an out.
That way he doesn't end up in the bubble.
Right. Maybe he's looking for an out.
You know, a graceful media heavy out. I don't know, man. We don't understand the inner thoughts of the rich and famous. They're crazy. They exist in a world that's not like ours. They don't breathe air and eat regular food. They're not of this world. They're inhuman. Anyway, let's see. Tony says, I have a really cool set piece for your studio. I want to trade. Trade implies you want something from the studio. I don't know. Everything here is sacred, but we can talk. You have to slide into our DMs. Let's see.
What's the other movie that's coming out?
Ambulance. Ambulance from director Michael Bay. There's no Transformers in this movie.
Did you see that Michael Bay admitted that he made too many Transformers movies? Because like Steven Spielberg was like, hey, you should stop. They're bad. Stop doing it now while you're ahead. And Michael Bay was like, no, I'm going to forge on. And then now he's like, I made too many of them. They suck.
It's true.
That was in news this week. Michael Bay was like, oops.
Michael Bay. So I'm trying to remember way back, if you close your eyes and take a journey with us, back when Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer were friends. And if you remember that,
The Rock.
If you remember that time, it was a beautiful time. A time full of explosions, and a time full of car chases that made sense, and a time full of action movies that resonated with more than a box office. Like when Jerry Bruckheimer and Michael Bay split and started doing their own things, thinking they were both talented directors. That was the beginning of the end, guys. There was a yin and a yang of balance that came between Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer. And then they all got, like most people do, they had a lust for power. And then they thought they were just too damn good, like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg when they tried to make Indiana Jones 4. It was just like, no, I'm the brilliant one, and you're like, no, you're actually not. You're the stupid one. No, you're the stupid one. And then you get a giant CGI monkey ant fight, and that's like the monkeys are George Lucas and the ants are Steven Spielberg, and you're just seeing a visual representation of probably how shitty it was to be on set. Michael Bay, I think Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer need to come back, though.
I think they both just need to stop.
Well, that too. I think that would work. But it's about two robbers stealing an ambulance, and we've got Jake Gyllenhaal, and Yahya Mateen II. He was in Candyman. I think it looks kind of boring.
Yeah.
It looks, Oh, we got some bits.
Nice.
Thanks, Furious Apology. It kind of reminds me, it's like Michael Bay wanted to make Heat, but didn't really do his homework. He's like, I want to make another Heat where it's like an action thriller with low stakes, with a really great cast, but it's all about, the character study and this, heart pounding. It's like, Michael Bay, character study is not something that you know how to do. So just stick to explosions and maybe sequels to Bad Boys. But Vince said Michael Bay also said the CGI in Ambulance sucked. Why is there CGI in a movie about an ambulance bank robbery? That's where we are, people. Why do we need CGI in these movies? Like, maybe if the ambulance turned into a dinosaur, okay, cool.
Or same set of Transformer.
Or a Transformer. Okay, yeah, I get it. But, I think a part of Hollywood's problem now is they're too afraid to take risks, and we've got these studios that won't do any stunts anymore. They just CGI everything because they're like, oh, gosh, can't risk anybody getting hurt or a cold or COVID or stumping their toe and suing us and their hair falling out. We just can't risk that. Like, where are the Jackie Chans of the world? We need them to save cinema. But anyway, that's coming out.
Insurance companies don't let that happen anymore.
Insurance. Ugh. Don't get me started on that. That's what's coming out in theaters this week. There's an Aha documentary coming out, but of course it's not going to come into a theater near you, but I want to see it because Aha is a really good band. Let's see. Let's talk about Morbius. We got to spend the rest of this time of the show because that's the title of this video. So, and the title of this podcast, Morbius, the Living Vampire, the latest installment in the Marvel sponsored Sony movies.
Yeah, it's its own thing. The SSU. Have you not seen that? The Sony Spider-Man universe.
I love how, at the beginning of the movie, though, where it does the Marvel flip, it's the MCU movie, and then it goes in association with Marvel. and it's not, the same logo. It's very similar, but says in association with. So yeah, you jump on this one. I'm gonna take another swig of Sapphire, and you lead the way, and we'll. Did you ever read Morbius comics?
No.
I did.
Did you?
'Cause vampires, dude. Have you met me?
You would. I mean, I don't know. So the premise, I guess, is that there's a brilliant doctor. He suffers from some sort of undisclosed blood disease that also makes him some sort of semi-paraplegic type thing. But he's super smart, and he's gonna fix it for him and his friends. And through this process, he becomes a vampire through unexplained means, except that there's
science.
There's some wonky science. And then, of course, after that, superpowers happen in the Marvel formula of, well, there's one guy that's like this. What if there's a bad version of that same exact thing? Movie. The end. I mean, that wraps it up. And somewhere in this, they decided that they were going to do exactly that, and that was their entire storyboard and plot line, and they weren't going to flesh it out any. They weren't going to explain it much, and they weren't going to attempt to pace it in any way, but just flash between the scenes and hope that they could fill it with nothing but blurred action that you had no idea what was going on, except that vampire powers.
Well, and some people I read that they were like, his powers don't make sense. His powers were pretty much ripped right off the pages of the comic books. I mean, the thing about Morbius.
I mean, what do you mean it doesn't make sense? I mean, they were vampire powers. It's the same thing that every vampire has. They got claws and teeth, and they're strong, and they can kind of fly sometimes.
Well, I mean, so the thing about Morbius, that's what he's called, the living vampire, is,
He's not undead.
He's not undead, right? Okay, so one thing that a lot of people don't understand about the Marvel comic book world, that don't read about it, even though Blade is, I'm going to look up something really quick. Excuse me. Blade isn't a Marvel character. Like Morbius and Blade fight a lot. He is a Spider-Man villain. In the Blade franchise, it's distributed by New Line Cinema. So New Line, who owns New Line right now? I want to say Warner Brothers owns New Line, and so Warner Brothers is an independent. It's not a part of the Sony or with
Warner Brothers owns DC.
That's right. Okay, so there's Blades out there, and Blade interacts with Spider-Man and Morbius quite a bit in the comics. But the thing about Morbius that makes him interesting is in the fact that there is vampires in this world, right? We don't see them, we don't hear about them because Morbius is not a character that we are all familiar with. So Marvel's got to ease our way into there. So the fact that he doesn't have the daylight, he can go into the daylight. He's not hurt by like holy water and garlic and crosses and all that stuff. But that's to say that there are vampires that exist in this world that are. So if we do see more Morbius, there's gonna be some vampires. If we do see a Blade crossover, there's gotta be some vampires because a Blade character in a world with no vampires doesn't make any sense. But my problem with some of these movies is, we're building. To use a spider's web sort of example, where there's too many flies getting caught up and bugs getting caught up in this web, and the structural integrity of this web for us as viewers to watch a live action world of all of this shit that exists in this world is getting very weak. If we saw a Spider-Man movie that had multiverses and then vampires and then good guy, bad guys, and now we've got, Kraven in the Sinister Six, but also exists in the world of his Incredible Hulk, and then also Thanos, and then Krull, and now the Secret Wars, and then Galactus somehow, and then Silver Surfer, and we're just like, oh God, like the weight of our sanity of being able to not just call bullshit on live action versions of this all the time, I think is going to shatter. And I think Morbius is suffering from our our collective audience mind trying to say, okay, this is a Marvel movie. A Marvel movie means jokes like Venom. Which this movie didn't have. It means character tie-ins from other movies, which this movie didn't have. It means references to things that happened in the timelines of other things, which they just had the San Francisco incident, and that was just about it at the very beginning.
And he said that I am Venom, so it recognized that
was in a
Venom
reshoot.
existed.
That was in a So the reshoots of this movie were to inject it into the thing, like the post credits things and all the Venom references. That was all done via reshoots because this was supposed to be a standalone movie, and now they're like, how do we connect it into the sequel verse that makes all these movies sequels to the other? And when you do that, you start comparing these movies with each other. And I think that Morbius, everyone's like, oh, this is one of the worst comic book movies to ever come out in the history of comic. That's not even close. Like, there are 15 other comic book movies that are way worse than this one. But the problem with this movie is it's boring. Like, there's just nothing happens.
Everything that does happen, it just gets thrown out there. It's like, bam, it's there. Bye. It's gone.
The thing that makes Morbius an interesting character, is he is an anti-hero. And most of the time, he's a villain. He's a straight-up bad guy in almost 90% of the comics. Like, Morbius is a fucking vampire. He kills people because he has to. He has to drink their blood. The bag stuff doesn't, true blood doesn't last forever for him. So then he had a short stint as a vigilante, kind of like Venom, where he's like, yo, I eat brains all the time, but I also don't like bad guys. So, I'm going to kill bad guys and eat their brains. And Morbius, in his early and sort of side stories where he was trying to be an anti-hero, he was always sort of struggling with the fact that he does not want to eat people. And you kind of see this a little bit, but you don't see this sort of... This could have been a really dark, haunting, psychological Marvel movie, but as we saw through Legion on FX, people don't really want that. They're like, this is
New Mutants movie.
Yeah, they're like, this is confusing. Can I just get a joke about Hulk's ding dong and call it a day? Like, that's, can Hulk bring Iron Man tacos and we laugh about it and then shoot a bad guy with a laser hand? Like, that's what we want, right? And Morbius is not that kind of movie. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie. It just means that I don't think we need this kind of movie. And not for $70 million,
Yeah, I don't. It was all, everything was just tossed together weird.
It was bland. It was just very bland. It was ramen with no seasoning.
Well, like the final battle had no real build, and it was just over.
Yeah,
and it was too focused on setting up stuff for a different movie.
You knew what was going to happen,
It was very predictable.
The same archetype of best friend turn enemy. Like, how many times have we seen that?
With the same powers. It's like, oh, yeah, it's just the exact same thing over.
And I think...
Very Marvel formulaic.
Without some of the Marvel trappings, And that's the problem is Morbius is not a hero. And everyone's like, well, they did it with Venom. And it's like, Venom's a different character. Venom's weird. And he's like in his head. And it's like...
This was Venom without the attempts at humor.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think isn't necessarily a problem with the content. It's a problem with that's just not what we want in a live action movie. Like, we as an audience don't want serious comic book movies, and I don't think we're ready for that. Even though comic books tell some really serious storylines, I just don't think that we as a kind of a collective audience are really ready to give comic book movies a chance with storytelling that isn't just loaded with comedy. That's why the Justice League movie didn't really land.
The Batman? There was no comedy in that?
No, there was no comedy in that, but it's Batman, though. I mean, I think the Batman franchise is a little bit different. I mean, we hold it to a different standard, thanks to... Because it got bro-y, I think every bro in the history of Sig Ep can sympathize and go, yo, dude, I'm rich and I'm white and that could be me, dude. Christopher Nolan's Batman's the best. Well, you don't think so?
No, it's not.
No,
those guys think
that's
that.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, Morbius, an odd character. When I heard that they were making this into a movie, I mean, he is a Spider-Man villain. He's been a Spider-Man villain for a very long time. I can't, with the way that they set this movie up, it's kind of hard for me to see him as a villain. They made him definitely the hero of this movie. And I think to make a good anti-hero, he didn't really do enough bad stuff. Like, he killed a couple people right when he transformed. Okay, got it. Like, everybody kills somebody sometimes, right? It's oopsie. Especially when you got magic crazy vampire powers. You got to test them out. You don't know. You're exploring your own body. Things are changing. You got these urges.
And there's so many plot holes in this. How did the FBI capture him? They're like, we'll shoot you with a gun. And he's like, oh, no, I've dodged so many bullets, but this time I won't.
And if he's so fast that he can't get... How did the cameras capture him? If he's just like so quick, and he just like goes, strike a pose, whoop, and like looks up at the camera, and I don't know. There's a lot of plot holes in this movie, and it's not even a great vampire movie, and I like vampire movies, so
could have used some more vampire stuff.
It could have. They could have incorporated the fact that there are vampires in this world in the after credit scene. I would have rather seen that than, hey, remember the Vulture from another Spider-Man movie? Well, he's back, and so get excited about Spider-Man again because Spider-Man stuff makes lots of money.
Big spoiler.
Big spoiler. Like there's no spoilers. It's a Spider-Man character movie. Of course they're going to try and plug this into the Spider-Man universe. But anyway, it's out there. It made a lot of money. Everyone's saying that it didn't do well at the box office because it only made $40 million. And it's like, yeah, but when your budget's $70 million, that did pretty damn good, dude. Because Venom had a $110 million budget. And this having, $25 million less of a budget and still opening up at $40 million, I'd say that's a pretty good move. Sam asks, is it was pants worthy? Absolutely not. Worldwide, it made another $44 million at the box office, so it has made $83 million worldwide. So that's a $13 million surplus. So I'd say in its first weekend, I'd say it's a success. So when we see a Morbius 2 and you're like, how on earth did this get greenlit? Well, I've got 13 million reasons right now on this weekend that point to why it did, and that's not even counting the next 2 weekends. So there you go. Let's do the box office roundup. Let's go ahead and do the top 10. We do domestic totals only. Chef Stephen Brooks jumping in on the Facebook chat. What's up, guys? Watching from Hot Springs tonight. Thought it was a good movie. And that's kind of what we were saying. It's a movie that I think that could exist as long as it wasn't in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't think there's anything wrong with Morbius. I just think that it does. We hold it to a different standard being a Marvel movie.
The pacing of the movie it bothered me too much. I think it could have been a better movie than what it was.
I think it definitely could have been a better movie. I think I would have rather seen a Blade tie-in at the end rather than a Spider-Man tie-in at the end. But that's just me. Vampire stuff. Vampire guy over here. All things vampire. You want to do an episode about vampire history, then tune in October.
Only if we can spend 20 minutes talking about Dracula dead and loving it.
We can. We absolutely can. Like I'll get some gag where like I shoot shitloads of blood every time you stab me, and just like a camera effect.
Or the Buffy movie. I'll talk about the Buffy movie.
Paul Rubens' death is one of the greatest vampire death scenes ever. Paul Rubens is just great. All right, domestic box office totals for the weekend of April 1st through 3rd. We're going to start with number 10, work our way to number 1, and that's how it's going to be. Number 10, X, which is playing here in theaters locally. You can check it out. It brought in $1 million at the box office from A24 in its third weekend release, bringing it up to $10.3 million. I'm going to try and see it this week, and I can talk about it next week. It's a horror movie, so I don't expect you to see it, big guy.
Whatever.
Hopefully someone will drag him to go see it, and we can talk about it on the movie show that we do.
It looks like a jump scare movie, man. I don't like the jump scares.
You'll never know unless you find out.
I'll watch it on TV later.
Okay, with the nightlight on and a blankie.
No, the full light on.
And a blankie.
Yeah.
Number 9, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Only playing in 38 theaters nationwide. So when it got released, it's only in Alamo Draft Houses and limited theaters nationwide. But it's coming, guys. It is coming hard. So we'll just wait for it. Don't give me that look.
Where's your brain? It made $1 million, though. So it is, I would say, per theater average, it blew everything out of the water. The number one movie in America theater average was only $9,000 per theater. This film, only in 38 theaters, generated $28,000 per showing, per theater. So we're talking like 3 times as better performing as the number one movie in America. Like, these statistics are crazy. Cannot wait for this one. A24, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Number 8, Dog, bringing in $1.3 million from United Artists Releasing. 7 weeks out has brought in $60 million at the box office. Number 7, still out there in 16 weeks. Spider-Man No Way Home, bringing in $1.4 million. $802 million domestically. It's a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of spider bucks. Did you see the trailer to the new Enter the Forever Spider-Verse? Or?
No, I missed it.
Well, there's another one. So it looks like more wacky animation with Miles Morales, who is actually a cool Spider-Man, but you don't like Miles? He's a pretty cool Spider-Man.
There's one Spider-Man, Ben Reilly.
Okay, guy.
Scarlet Spider is the coolest Spider-Man.
Cosmic Spider-Man was pretty dope.
Peter's lame.
Yeah, Peter is kind of lame. Number 6, RRR, coming in with $1.6 million. It's one of the Jake's foreign films. 1,200 theaters nationwide, though. How did this get a big release? But it brought in, so far in its second weekend release, $11 million. Number 5, Jujutsu Kaisen, the movie, bringing in $1.9 million at the box office. 3 weekends out from Crunchyroll, believe it or not, bringing in almost $30 million at the box office in 3 weekends. That's pretty awesome for an anime that most people have never heard of. Number 4, Uncharted, bringing in $3.6
Hit us with those weeb emotes real quick.
Yeah, blam, 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 with the weebs. Uncharted brought in another $3.6 million in its 7th weekend release from Sony, bringing it up to 138. We're definitely going to see another one of those. Number 3, The Batman, bringing in $11 million in its 5th weekend release from Warner Brothers, bringing in $349 million at the box office. That's a lot of money for the Batman. I'm Batman. Got them clues.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah. I watched an interview with Robert Pattinson, and he said he tried out several different voices, and everyone told him to stop because he said he watched the Christian Bale movies. He's like, I hate the voice. I'm not doing a voice like that. I'm going to do a better voice. And he said that the like producers and directors and stuff came up and like, man, you got to knock that off. It's not working. You're going to get fired from this movie. It's like, you got to find a better Batman voice. And then
I wish Jeffrey Wright would have done the Batman
They
voice.
make him do it, and they're like, that's what it is. And he said, once you start doing it, it's the only voice that fits the costume. But it's like, they all start out like, I'm going to do a different Batman voice. And they do like Undertaker in Suburban Commando.
Ooh.
I'm going to get you, Ramsey. Or it's like 8-foot tall man, big and buff. And they're just like, I'm going to get you. But the producer's like, you got to knock it off.
Can't do that.
So then it's like, I'm Batman. And they're like, there it is. Nailed it.
I just, yeah, they're just, that they should just get Kevin Conroy to just dub over.
Absolutely.
Anytime there's in a costume.
Yeah.
Sam just said that right in the comments. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah. Just they have a voice modulator, and it just makes it Kevin Conroy's voice.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but apparently every Batman actor has tried that. Like even Christian Bale, like the Batman was not his first choice. He was like,
Joker.
He was like, I'm gonna do it better. I'm gonna do it good. And he's like, I'm Batman. And this, hold on, this reminds me of what's his name? Pete something. He's a comedian. He had a
Davidson?
No, he had a show, an actually funny guy. He had a show on TBS, but there's a series of like Funny or Die or college humor videos, and he plays Batman, Pete Holmes.
Okay, yeah.
And he does Batman, and one of them he does the different Batman voices, and he tries like Kermit the Frog and like all these different things. And the dude,
I am Batman.
Yeah. And the dude he's trying to intimidate, it's like, nah, that's not working. And finally, through all the different voice attempts, his throat's just ruined and it becomes gravelly and awful. He's like, I'm Batman. And he's like,
perfect.
oh wait, what was that? That one was good. Yeah, but he tries like 20 different voices. They just don't work.
Batman's a hard voice, man.
Yeah, apparently that's how it really is on set too. So.
Let's see. Number 2, Lost City, bringing in $14 million in its second week, $54 million at the box office for Paramount, and the number 1 movie in America, as we just talked about, Morbius, $39 million. They're rounding it up, saying 40, because what's millions when it's Hollywood, right? Columbia Pictures, aka Sony, it's part of it's one of their wings. It's the statue lady under Sony. If you're your movie logos, but yeah, that's their top 10. Really looking forward to more Everything Everywhere All at Once. Hopefully that will come out here soon. Like I said, this weekend we are going to have Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Probably be talking about that next week if all things go according to plan. Might try and check out X as well. So be sure to like, subscribe, sub, whatever you do on your social media of choice, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Download this podcast wherever you download podcasts. Spotify's a good one, even though I hate their ads. But it's easy to find our episodes, and it's going to post like in 5 minutes when I click this button and I go over there and I upload everything. No editing. It's all off the top of the dome. So there you go. Anyway, we're out of here. Thanks for tuning in. I am always your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I am Slick Doggy.
And we will see you guys, like next week?
Yeah.
For real already?
We're going to spin into our Sonic reviews.
Oh, it's going to be great. We're going to have such a good time. We're going to eat chili dogs.
Oh.
Yeah. Can we get chili dogs? We got to bring chili to
We got to do it, yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring chili and get one of those hot dogs.